Welcome, welcome. Okay, so first of all, maybe before I even do this, let's just go ahead. Mauna Loa is erupting. Oh, a geologist review. Cool. I'll check that out. But in short, it's erupting for the first time since 1984. It's kind of crazy. I just started looking at Hawaii like a week ago to a point where I even create a Hawaii playlist. Like I've got major playlists, like in essence, things that I feel are relevant enough to like be like, okay, I should make a playlist of this. There's probably things that I wish I had, but like at this point, I started with like Mount Gurnar, and Dwarka, and then I put like the evolution of a theory to kind of just show my theory evolving, specifically the theory. Shalagrams, and then Hawaii. So it's kind of crazy. It's just, Hawaii's a sphere. That's 5 days ago. This one 6 days ago. It's pretty much where that happened. Maybe around here 7 days ago, a week ago. It was like really starting to focus towards Hawaii. So that's going on. Is it's erupting for the first time, and this is like this Mauna Loa is this one right here, on the main island, the biggest, largest volcano in the world, largest active volcano in the world, according to present understanding at least. Whether or not that's actually the case, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe in some other like angle of seeing things, we realize it's not as big as another volcano somewhere else in the world, but. Besides the point, it's a very large volcano. It's erupting. Presumably here, I don't know exactly. It looks like it's I hear it's going this way. Northeast Ridge, which is apparently like this segment. Generally in this direction towards here, but it sounds like from initial reports like it's not yet that concerning for Hilo. Okay, so that's going on. I've been talking about the general concept of combining the islands. So recently I started to, I basically was like, is this a sphere in and of itself? And I've tried to like move it around, like maybe here connects to here. It's really hard to make like one single thing, so I even made a little cutout. It's like, okay, like if I wrap this around, like the top to the bottom here is pretty good. I'm a little shaky, so I'm like, ah. So maybe that, like, so like that kind of thing, but then I wrapped it around this way. And it's maybe plausible also, like here. It's just hard to do it. Whatever. It's maybe plausible in different ways. But what's like the critical issue with even doing this in the first place? First of all, admittedly, it may not be the case, but if we're gonna consider if it's the case, we have to consider if it's the case by looking. So, like, the only way to determine that it's not the case is to actually consider it rather than to just be like, no, that can't be the case, and just not consider it. So, to consider it would require actually putting the pieces together. But, like, for instance, I've come to realize this region had a landslide of a substantial chunk that's basically no longer there and is now on a landslide. So, like, and it sounds like it also may have occurred to a degree here in a different way. But also, that one makes maybe more sense, depending on things. But, like, that's in order to, like, successfully do this, like, if it is a sphere, because it kind of shows. I have kind of established the plausibility that there is like currents cutting across, generally speaking. Essentially, two larger currents that the Earth itself is bringing together, and then at that point, there's a vortex swirling around it, producing a physical sphere that is potentially why we're seeing currents that go off this way and then wrap around here, like here, like three inlets that were actually from the opposing side of the Earth segment that was going on there. So maybe, and I've kind of found the possibilities, and then, like, for instance, there is kind of a smaller and a larger pole here and here. Just thinking where, like, maybe this is around the equator, basically. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Is this one plausibly could be an actual sphere just from what's there, but like it's still, like I was saying, like there's missing data that makes it difficult to successfully figure out how it was. Okay, so I was watching this one, Geology and Oceanography of Kauai, oh, Kauai, Kauai or Kauai, something. But the island original edge was about twice. It's basically its volume, I believe, is this outer boundary is like its initial boundary. So it's more like this. So it would be more precise to like maybe take this image right here, just cut it and underlay it onto here at the so that this overlays like the same space. I don't know if I did that. Did I just put it in? It might just be really low. Let's just bring it to the top. I think that's this one. Okay. So I could do that. I'm not going to do that now. That's probably would slow this down a little too much. But so there's that, and then this one also apparently maybe it's hard to say. Interesting. I didn't even notice this when I was watching it that it maybe had these. They're probably actually from here that just like were currents that preferentially were flowing generally across the like overall mass, maybe because of a collision here. Like they hit, and when they hit, it just sent like a shockwave through it that broke off this segment and caused this island to kind of just like overlay it a bit, because it's opposite world in Hawaii where, let me read it. From a structural engineering point of view, this is from this video. I don't know where. Hawaiian Island mountains are upside down because all the unstable stuff is below and the slabs of stable material are above. Which I kind of came across in a different video where they were saying like it's got clay underneath and it's almost like a grease that allows for lands like encourages or enables landslides by that. an asshole. Okay, with that established. I mean, it does kind of make sense based on like this and this. Like they would have came to a point, and maybe this structure here is like a bond that formed between the two, some intermediary that really I think is the reason this is important is because this island is generally centered the center of gravity or mass is here ish, like the actual center, whereas this one is over here, gravity anomaly. Yeah, it's okay, here it is. Its gravity anomaly is here, more centered. Not completely centered, more centered. Whereas this one is here. I wonder if that's the actual pole. That might be the actual pole in like if it was a sphere and it had a like north and south pole, maybe the region of Keawe. Hilarious, I don't even know how to pronounce them. Is more like the North Pole, which has this structure. So maybe like this structure in an inverse, like opposite island sphere structure here. Where was it? It's this one. Would be more like this. So let's go to this island. It is this one. So the gravity anomaly appears to overlap that, and I was kind of looking at for it. Like here's that line going upward, and it looks like there's something we can kind of go by here. So it pretty much goes to here. So maybe it's centered on this. Or not. Where's that? Let's find that. There's that. That's the boundary. So it's actually centered here. It actually looks more like a more traditional like lava. Let me find the example. I keep referencing this example. Lava flows. It just looks more like this. Here. Like how it did that. And then had just a shape. Which is... let me pull out here real quick. Kind of happens over here. Happens all over the place, really. But especially, this is a good example where it has a like central thing and then like it's like an eyeball kind of shape. Like from this node to this node. Like these are two nodes that between them, the opposing currents, they're essentially like here. Not opposing, but like this polygon and this polygon, their interactions go out of phase for a length, but only for that length. So like from here to here. But here, there's like and here is like here and here. So almost off center. So that's interesting. Maybe this is really bringing to mind a shallogram now. Like here. How it has this indentation and then this central like region mass indentation, and then we can kind of follow it around as it kind of fades over here, but it's possible that's kind of like a representative of that. The reason I think of that is because this like Nova Center type thing is reminiscent of also like how there's novas around the North Pole here. So like this thing to here, like energetically connecting. So maybe it only represents up to there. But do we see similar features to this? Oh my god. Okay. Not to like, not to just place it there, but just as a hypothesis, since this is basically where the Siberian traps are, and I've kind of considered like of all the novas at the top, like if one of them is gonna be more like impactful than the others, it's gonna be the one that's like the Siberian traps nova. Like there's nothing really distinctly labeled in these regions here that are as like volcanic and like large region as the Siberian traps, at least that I'm aware of. Pardon me if there are things that are, there probably are things that like make sense then, but like it makes sense to me that that would be like where the Shallograms feature actually is. And then it spirals out from that point, in two directions here. Like it's plausible this, and even the indentation, like it's downward, but it's not like fully removed the whole depth of the region, almost like here, like it's not as much, but it hasn't fully removed the whole depth maybe. Oops, let's go here. Oh my god. So maybe that's something going on here, is like this whole thing is a North Pole type region, and then like it wrapped around, maybe even like being part of why this structure was like encouraged to form the way it did. Okay, if we consider that this here is like the Siberian traps equivalent type of location, or at least like the point of it, not exactly where like the most volcanic activity occurred, because they're really not associated with here as much as like down into this region, like down here. So like even though the Siberian traps would have occurred, let's zoom out. Basically here, I believe, like it would have propagated a distance. Let me just hide that for now. So like the Nova Center here propagating a nova to the Siberian traps here. So like if it even fits in that regard to the fact that I like, because this is an extinct ancient volcano on the island of Big Island of Hawaii, and so like it's plausibly like yes, that like further substantiates the positioning of this of the Big Island of Hawaii adjacent to Kauai here. So if we can then like position this also here in like a real tangible way, like let's say copy. Oh crap, is that the whole thing? No. I should have I'll probably restart after this. It's just too much delay. I just got fucked. At least the system. There we go. There we go. Pardon me. Paste, maybe? Maybe. There we go. There we go. Okay, we got it. Now we just want it over here, if we can get it there. Like, it's not the worst fit. It's not the worst fit. Oh, okay. It might have to turn a little bit, too. Let's try to turn it just straight on here and see how that makes, if that makes sense. So, like, 30 degrees. That might be the wrong way. So how's everyone doing? What do we got? Let's keep looking here. It is the most isolated major landmass on Earth. I don't think that rotated it whatsoever. Oh no, it did. It did the okay. Wrong way. So kind of that tidbit kind of like gives some credence to further investigating the possibility that it's sort of like the nucleus of the galaxy of Earth. Okay, it's over here. Can we move it? Like something of this nature, this isn't necessarily appropriate. There's also, again, like it's probably more like outward, like spaced a bit, more like that. Because of additional mass, that's just, I haven't accounted for because it's kind of difficult. I'm like Googling like total islands of Hawaii, but because no, like we're under the impression they formed millions of years ago, so it's not that like important. It's not that important what they used to be like. It's like chunks just have broken off across time. Who cares? That's just what happens, dude. We need a more important subject. We're trying to figure out like what's going on. We don't care about like the boundaries of the islands at a previous time and if they overlap in a way that really gives credence to that it was a sphere. So like we would need to know the boundaries accurately to even consider that. So it becomes far more of an important topic then, where it's like, wait, how were things? This kind of to me looks like maybe here was like physically across here, and it was just elongated outward. I don't know. It does resemble like this. Or maybe like Greenland. Like the whole of it. Or maybe like the North Pole was connected to Greenland, a Greenland equivalent, and then it basically, this chunk, as they fell away, like got lodged in place against a pressure from the west side. But then this other one was still sliding, and it just like it was probably just sliding as one unit initially, maybe even like, and then it broke as it slid, and just the portion that slid over top of it just kind of caused landslides through the region to really reshape it. And then also kind of like rest its weight on it. So it's kind of like pushing, distribute, almost like a leg of a table where it's pushing weight on the leg here, which is then pushing like this island to have a like gravity anomaly over here. That seems plausible and like the most reasonable, just from like if we're gonna start doing like a connecting these things together kind of thing. Like it makes sense that the adjacent ones should be considered as having been adjacent. Almost just looks like a little boop. Like this fell off, and then this fell off. Just like boom, boom, boom. Maybe that's like Iceland. Or that's like Iceland, I don't know. Something. Or that's like Iceland. Or that's, I don't know. That's kind of weird. What is that? That's like a really rounded. That one's really like, has like a, you know what I'm saying, cross. Like it's, I don't know if it's been considered. Like, were these islands once together and they just kind of slid apart, or slid like this one slid into that one, or if like the plate tectonics model is just so not like conducive to that type of potential to even have investigated anything resembling like enough information to shed some light on whether or not there's something of merit to this aspect of this. So if this is the Siberian traps, equivalent, it does kind of look like it has some kind of channel that just kind of rushed into the appropriate direction in order to like go to here, just flowing into here, generally speaking. Hawaiian geology puzzle pieces. Let's close the League of Legends. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Playing games, don't mind me. So I'm like, alright, I'm gonna energize. Oh, I didn't resize them. I was like, done. Oh no. Why did I save it before I resized it? Okay then. Let's just make this one bigger. Like 19 maybe. I don't want to be pushing my computer too bad where it just freezes completely and this file gets corrupted. Crap. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I'm not. It's too impossible right now. I hope you get the idea. Maybe you guys can check for yourselves. You know, feel free. Also, I noticed, like, maybe, like, the curvature here is not so, like, not so lacking of like the actual way things were. Maybe this is indicative of where something was. This had a landslide, so this had a landslide that went here, but I'm not sure. I think this had a landslide, but I'm not sure if it is considered to have gone out here. It looks like it. This one looks like it came from here. So it almost is like this one and this one had a landslide. Which is a little anomalous. Why would two of them have a landslide to the basically to the same like point in on the earth? Like why would they do that? Unless they were like once together and they broke apart, and as they broke apart they like directed it but from 2 points that were like, and then they kind of rested. So maybe there's some kind of relationship like that when that would then like mean this was here. Although it's a little odd, like the greenery of this would just abruptly seeming like this generally would be here, where this is kind of extending all outward some reason. So it kind of doesn't make sense over there. And I've been considering the possibility that this region is an inner core of the structure, so it had like multiple of these things going on, where one of them is one island, like equivalent to the Himalayas, and the rest are the equivalent to the Earth. So like one of them just doesn't fit the Earth without seeing it to be the Himalayas. I've been considering that route, and considering it to then like an equivalent be also kind of like a core, another layer basically. So, I don't know why the Himalayas would be like that, but in a way where maybe like the exact mapping is not so easy, but to see that there is that possibility is there. It's in the data sufficiently by just looking at like the geology, the currents, like that this current can feasibly go over like this. Although this maybe I'm not positioning that right, because I think that this actually is here. So let's just take that one I just added to try away. I think this one wraps over here. So where would this be? So this would therefore not be here. Maybe take... Da-da. More generally here. This one, let's just move it over here. It doesn't matter. It's so hard without actually having a 3D mapping means. I'm pretty sure Photoshop can do it if I... maybe I can figure out how to make Photoshop do that. Certainly not on the recording it, but I can maybe do it. I know there's 3D things like spherical panorama. Okay, let's just say not that one. Wait, which layers? This one. This one. This one. Am I adding them? This one. This one. This one. This one. This one. This one. Not this one. Let's see if that works. To like do something of interest. I'm sorry, computers. Pardon me. Lord. Alright then, while it does this, I thought it would be fast by the loading bar, but now it's just sitting there. Another thing is, the Hawaiian Islands reach from Alaska to Florida if they were to be, like, overlaid. From this video. Pardon me. It would be cool to bring up the picture. Because it kind of seemed relevant enough where I almost took a screenshot. There it is. Like, from specifically the Rangelia region to specifically Lake Okeechobee region, it looks like. Like, it may energetically have some relationship. Maybe it formed as a particle, like, over here. And then it, like, moved this way. I don't know. Or over here and moved this way. I'm just trying to think why that would, like, happen. It's crazy that it happened. Like, it's that big. To go from all the way over here to down here, it is specifically fits from there to specifically there. Specifically, even there, right there is one of those big circular things. Like, what if it just went this way? Like a chain of novas? Maybe a chain of novas that started here, producing larger and larger systems that then at some like turning point here turned this way and began to fan out across this current, where over here it's more perpendicular. Over here it becomes more head-on. Maybe, I don't know, just some thoughts. Where like maybe there's a Hawaiian tie to like these things. Goes over there into the Gulf, like down here, even down here. Oh no, here. I mean, that kind of goes into the Gulf to get to here. Because this is all pretty much happening simultaneously to a point where, like, it's plausible, like, the shape of North America is tied to the shape of Hawaii in a way like this, energetically, and something that's, like, sheds light on something that I not picking up on. Like, maybe it's, like, formed as a sphere, but in a line. Like, the components of a sphere, but in a line. I don't know how it would do that without just being like a sphere.
World, but very, very.
Oh yeah, I wasn't watching. Okay. The basin is the densest region. Okay, here's another over here. That was over there where that anomaly is, I think. Okay, this one's real interesting. The Alakai Swamp is here, which gets 400 inches of rainfall a year, and then it like rings outward. Oh no, computer, please. They finally did the 3D thing, I guess. Oh my god, why did I touch it? Okay, let's close anything I can close. Maybe I should just stop recording here and I'll be back, but that sucks. I'm almost done. If I just stopped like casually looking at stuff and just read what I had, at least it would have been at least there. So the rainfall at the center drastically falls off to what I think is around 30 inches at the edges, 20 inches, 10 inches even at the edges of the island. So it's almost like a galaxy nucleus. Like it's like a nucleus of something, like where the currents are most directed towards the nucleus. And interestingly, really interestingly, from 1912 to 2011, the mountain at the peak here received 423 inches of average rainfall from 1912. So basically 100 years, 1912 to 2011. But then from the 1964 to 2011, so more recently, it went down to 389 inches a year. So it dropped by like 34 inches. And then 1995 to 2011, it dropped by 46 inches to a 353 inches average. So the rainfall on this island's swampland mountain here region, I believe like Focusly here. I'm not sure where exactly is considered the swamp. Maybe there. But the water goes this way, I believe. Or, oh no, here it is. Here's the water. Okay. Goes out these ways. So it must be here. Right around here. So this is frequently I'm finding it seems like it's frequently referenced as climate change and like probably human cause. Damn humans. When it's probably actually just mechanics of the sphere's pole that are like it had a lot of currents flowing through it, so it still has a lot of currents flowing through it, so it physically causes the surrounding moisture to be drawn into it to a point where it causes this like cooling effect to like, because it was a pole but it's not anymore, so it's just like maybe doing the opposite effect, like drawing in, because it's no longer being fed by current in the same way. And so it like has this void current fill in it by just this water that just flows in, but then it cools across time. And so it's more in an equilibrium with the environment, and so it's literally detectable because this happened recently. It was a sphere recently, like 10,000 years ago, or so, or less, and so it's like cooling. Its pole is cooling, and it's not climate change. Oh my god. I'm like, oh, danger, Will Robinson, when I start noticing, like, this is tied to climate change, apparently. Oh, Lord. Like, pretty much, like, gonna blame humans, then. As soon as it's tied to climate change, humans' fault. So, humans are doing this? No. Oh, my God, guys. Some of the water that drains here goes into the ground. I found that interesting as well. So it's like a sink to the drainage, which just really drives home that it's this like channel where the current once flowed, because it was a pole, so it was like a terminal, but there's no longer that current flow, so it just allows for like drainage through it, because it was filled with the current of whatever the current was, like the magma equivalent current of this smaller particle earth that was probably pretty much magma, and now it's not, so it's just like allows for the not only allows for, but like physically probably causes a vortex of energy to like cause upwelling, to physically cause the water in the Pacific to go into the sky, flow towards it, and drain into it, and just create this actual like anomalously high rain right here. Like, it's so concentrated. It is so look at that. A mile. Sure, it's higher elevation. I don't know how much higher, but let's see. If I can see. Okay. It really doesn't look so substantially higher there. We need like a color map. Yeah, really not that much more higher than like any of this here, but different rainfall. Way different rainfall. So different. And changing, like those things really reinforce to me that this was the pole of a sphere. It really does. Crazy. It's crazy, I know. I just wonder if it's possible. If this is a pole and this is kind of like Greenland. Or even like this is like Greenland. And this is even like in part the oceanic crust. Whoa. That would be crazy. Like the oceanic crust of the Earth, mini Earth, like it had also oceanic crust. It does look like it has like lines in a way that are very reminiscent of like here of specifically oceanic crust like this. Let's look at all around Greenland. Like even like this side of is kind of like not like this is oceanic crust here, but it's really not as much like this. It's more like stable maybe. It didn't have as much. Like it's plausible that this region is less detectable than here around it in a way where it physically mostly doesn't show this side, but then starts to like follow the oceanic opening here. Maybe over here, like down this way, and then cutting across like there. Something of that nature is not that far off from its shape to a point where it could be. Like if we really go down here, I mean it certainly is plausible. With a gap between it, so like this gap would make sense because there was this like current that flowed this way around the pole, around the pole and around this side between Greenland and the pole. So in the past I'd labeled Greenland as this segment. I did undo. Oh god. It's not all the way back to undo the 3D entirely. Maybe just like hide. Okay. Oh lord. Yeah, that one. Not that one. Although maybe that's not Greenland then. Like it wouldn't actually make sense in the position it was. Africa, Europe. It's like between Africa and Europe. Okay, so to summarize and end this video, since I'm really needing to end it and restart it with a freshly restarted computer, if I have anything more to say, I'm just exploring. Clearly, this is like a malleable thing that's like a gaseous still, but it has some like nucleus of solidity to it that's things are forming around, and coat layers are coating and recoding the surface and putting more layers to cause it to grow to a point where maybe it actually becomes substantial enough to emerge from out of the ocean and be a place to actually have a stable footing on, and not just be swimming in the ocean and being like, let me tell you about the nature of reality, it's this. Like, oh dude, we no, like maybe here though. So that's pretty much what I'm thinking is this for sure. I feel like I'm trying to get things I can hinge with confidence to really help me pinpoint other things with greater confidence. Just all part of the process. Like, we can't be like referring to one another, like waiting for someone to get back to us. Uh, then they're not aware about the nuances to like, if we're just like compartmentalizing too much. Alright then. So, see you guys in the next one.